Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Viewers Club. My name is Megan.
My name is Lucas.
And my name is Tess.
And welcome to the episode you've all been waiting for, obviously, to hear us talk about the series The Haunting of Bly Manor. Boom, boom, boom. With the lovely October coming to a close, we decided to talk about the biggest horror genre film project released this month, and that was definitely The Haunting of Bly Manor. If you haven't seen The Haunting of Hill House, you should also go check that out, including this one. But suffice to say, this is the second installment in the anthology series of The Haunting. So this story focuses on a small little family in, I forget where they're located somewhere in the world. They're yes. British. That should narrow it down. It's the story of these two kids who have dealt with a lot of trauma in their life, and they're living in this haunted mansion. There's manor, I should say. It's a manor. And they live with this group of people who take care of them. The land lady who takes care of the gardening and everything, basically the gameskeeper, their chef/cook, their housekeeper, and their newest friend, nanny. What's the word? Governess. Those fancy Brits. It's a fancy name for nanny. Their American governess who is helping to take care of them, but under the surface there is lurking some dark stories. Mm-hmm. So without going into any more detail about it, this is your only spoiler warning that we will give you.
Spoiler.
This is it. This is you get. Yeah, there are spoilers ahead. And to give you context about how drawn in, before we get into it and talk about overall opinion of it, I do want to say, as a group, we watched this together.
We did.
And we watched it the same night that it came out. We were up till about 6 a.m. watching it. So while we get into our overall opinions, keep that in mind, that after we recorded our episode of our movie nights, go check that out, yes. Of the first episode of Bly Manor, we then proceeded to sit down for several hours, yep. From 11 to 6 in the morning until to finish dawn. The entire series.
We binged the entire series, and it was
beautiful.
And it was glorious.
It was perfectly splendid.
So absolutely splendid.
It was perfectly splendid.
Yeah, perfectly splendid.
I'm going to ask you guys your overall opinions of the series. Not to go into like too great a detail of it, because we'll get into some of those later, but like your overall feeling of this new season of the Haunting anthology.
Yeah, I thought that it was a very interesting and cool twist again on the genre, and I think that that's something that seems to be a recurring theme with Mike Flanagan and with the anthology series in general, is that they like to twist the genre, or they kind of like to twist some of the tropes of the genre and make it into a really interesting story. And I really liked the how this season was a lot more of a love story wrapped inside of a ghost story, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. It had kind of, I would say, 3 distinct love stories. There were a lot of different love stories, but there was like, 3 three distinct love. So much love. There was like three romantic storylines that I thought each were interesting and just really great in their own unique way and in their own unique tragedy, because each love story ended in some kind of bittersweet, tragic way. It was just a really, really cool story, and I felt really invested in all of the characters, and I really loved how it ended. I really like how the story got wrapped up, and all of the actors were fantastic. So all around, I loved it.
Okay, overall opinion, absolutely loved it. I loved the suspense and just like the very subtleties, like whether it was like the ghosts in the foreground or just like the body language of the different characters when they're like, you know, giving each other like a side eye or something. You just know that there's something there. And then you start seeing things and it's crazy. And then you think you're crazy. Yes, absolutely loved it. And I also loved that they really went in depth with each character and like gave them their own little spotlight to share their side of the story. So yeah. That's how I feel.
You all bring up you both bring up like really excellent points about how it's definitely more focused in on the characters this time around. And I'm in the same boat as you guys. I was really drawn in to the story pretty much right away. I was sucked in. I think it's because there wasn't a whole lot of waiting around for ghosts to show up. There was the instantaneous, like, there they are. Here's the scary part. But we'll get into comparing the two series very, very shortly. But I guess that brings me to my next question, because there are a lot of amazing moments and amazing episodes in general. So I was wondering if you guys had a favorite episode or a favorite moment from the series. Ooh, goodness. It's a lot.
They all kind of blended into one because we like binged the whole thing. Like, go. I think one of my favorite moments was close to the beginning where Flora is playing with her dollhouse, which is an exact replica of the mansion or the manor. And I think it was that moment where she had the doll that looked just like their governess, like walking from the bathroom into her room, and it matched her exact movements. That I was like, oh no, this is what we're dealing with. Okay.
Oh no.
Creepy. Yeah. It was
nightmare fuel.
It was really, really scary, and I think it's also really chilling, I guess, to find out like what these kids are having to deal with, kind of like on their own. It's a lot. So yeah.
There really are so many great moments in that series. That dollhouse really freaked me out. I already don't like dolls. I think that's out of all of the horror movie tropes, dolls are probably they're right at the top of the list for the things that freak me out the most. When that scene that you're talking about was first introduced, I was like, is there some kind of clairvoyance thing going on? Who are they manipulating people in this house? What's happening? I think my favorite episode was episode 5, because that was where it was like the whole episode was basically focused on Tania Miller's character, Hannah Gross. And I love her as an actress anyway, but I loved how that episode unfolded and how her backstory was revealed to us. Because I think near the beginning of when we were watching the first episode, we kind of theorized that maybe she was already dead and maybe she was a ghost. But then we kind of, I think we kind of dismissed it. We were kind of like, no, they were, like, no,
they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do that. And then they did, and it was great. But I think that moment at the end of that episode, when we realize that when we first met Hannah in the first episode was not even a minute after she had died, and
I know
that was really cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
I really liked that. So yeah, I think that would have to be my moment in episode.
That entire episode was such a mind fuck, honestly.
It really was. Where are we?
What
is anything even real?
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite episode has to go with when we learn about who the Lady in the Lake is.
Yeah.
And her story.
That was great.
Because I loved the entire season in general was really, really well done. But I loved that we went back in time and spent an entire episode learning about the Lady in the Lake and who she is and why she's the way she is. And I just really loved it. It had some really sad moments, especially when she's sitting there at the door after she's accepted her fate. She's sitting at the door of the chest, waiting for her daughter to open it. And she's always so excited, and she has a new dress every night,
Oh, yes.
She's just like, give it for my daughter. And then her sister opens it and she kills her sister. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was one of the scariest
I think that
moments.
entire episode. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that one got us. That was
Yeah.
like the best jump scare
It really
placement.
was.
Oh my gosh. So good. But I think that one was definitely one of my favorite episodes, was learning about the mystery of the lady in the lake, and it was no longer a mystery. So yeah. And then I guess that brings me into favorite character / story arc. This also I guess this could also fall into like your favorite actor as well.
I think the one that really like stood out the most to me was the girl who played Hannah Gross. Her acting was so phenomenal, and she really played that character very, very well. And like even like after, I'm sorry, once you get to that part where you figure out that she's been kind of like time hopping, I guess, the entire time, then you like understand like her little like movements where she's like always looking off and stuff, and she's just like trying to figure out where she is.
Why she always sees cracks in the walls.
Yeah. She was my absolute
And then that monologue. Oh my gosh.
That monologue was so good. I want to see more of her.
Ditto. What else can I say? She's just mesmerizing. To Mia Miller, props to you for really making that character feel real and relatable, and making, I feel like, everybody really care about her. I really liked the analogies in that series because they're very chilling, and it was when what's his name? It's when it's the boy, Miles, yes. It was when the boy, who at the time was possessed by Peter, when Miles was basically telling Hannah, like equating her to Roadrunner, and telling her it's time to look down. That really unnerved me, because it's like it was so true in relating, even though it's like kind of, it's a kid's show. That was so true, and then he was like meet that like her arc was my favorite, and I loved I loved the actress that played her. I'll go with Henry Thomas's character. It was another Henry. So Henry Wingrave. I really liked his arc where you kind of like see him as this distant uncle, and then you learn about all of the layers beneath his relationship with the now deceased mother, and that he's actually Flora's father, and how all of that unfolded, and how he was haunted by himself. And I love that he was the one that was always calling, and kind of that in the end he rushed forward to try and save his daughter and his family. So and also just Henry Thomas was fantastic in that role.
Henry Thomas is fantastic. Yes,
he really was.
For me, my favorite actor, not really character. You guys brought up my favorite characters, but my favorite actor goes to the little boy who played Miles Wingrave.
Oh my gosh!
I have to give props to him. It's just from the very and I will give props to the little girl as well who played Flora Wingrave. Both of them were playing two characters at the same time, virtually.
Yeah,
and that's challenging enough for like adult actors to do.
Yeah,
Right.
But the fact that they're doing it, and they're doing it super well. But specifically why I'm giving it to Miles Wingrave is just that he's playing this sweet little boy, for parts of it.
Yeah.
But then he's also trying to play this like 30-ish year old suave man who's trapped in a little boy's body, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's weird to watch, but he does it in a really, really good way,
Oh,
like his mannerisms change, the way that his vocabulary changes as well. I was really blown away, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Because we've talked about this before. It's hard to find young actors who don't just go in front of a camera and, repeat a word that they're telling them to say, And then kind of like jumping into the rest of the cast as well, I think that they were all amazing, but I think my favorite character story had to be with Jamie, the groundskeeper. I loved that because you don't know that she's the one who's narrating in the beginning, and then you find out she's lived this entire life, and with Danny, and it was just, I just really loved that story.
Yeah, that was a cool full circle.
Yeah,
really props to those child actors. That's it was incredible with the weight that they pulled. So yeah,
the little girl who played Flora is the cutest thing in the entire world.
She really is. She's so cute.
She is so adorable, so wholesome. And now that gets me into the other characters. I bet you weren't expecting this. Let's talk about the creepiest ghost in the house, shall we?
Yes.
Because personally, I know it's like the obvious choice is to pick the lady in the lake. You know, that's the obvious choice because she's leaving footprints throughout the house, and she walks in a circle and she stares at people, and like that's creepy. That's creepy in itself.
She can like literally
and
kill
she
you.
actually kills people. Yeah,
and she actually kills people.
There's that.
And even though I did love her episode, and you know, Kate Segal was great. I think there are two ghosts that play for creepiest for me, and that is the soldier, because Jesus, he was hard to spot during some of those moments.
Yeah, I missed a few.
and then Viola's sister, who's up in the attic.
Ooh, yeah,
she creeps me out so much, and she's only a ghost for part of it.
Yeah,
like she just. That whole scene where Flora is playing hide and seek, and and she's like doing like whatever she's doing in the background, and she's like, shh, and I'm just like, what are you doing? I think those two fight for the creepiest.
I like
my favorite moment.
I like that the ghost
she's like, okay,
like, I'm sorry.
I've got a couple. Well, first of all, the plague doctor was pretty creepy. He was pretty obsessed too, but I mean, he didn't seem like he was like following her everywhere.
He was everywhere.
He was kind of creepy in the sense that he was like in the background in like most of the shots, but he wasn't like harmful or anything, so that kind of took away the creepiness.
It also is like he's the go-to ghost as well, so
right?
It's just kind of like, oh, it's you again. Hi.
It's like, oh, hey.
After a certain point, you're just like, there you are.
What's
Where
up,
have you been?
Come join us. Yeah. The next one would be the little boy.
Yes. Oh my
terrifying.
God, yes.
The child.
Terrifying. The child. Oh my gosh, I did not see him in the kitchen, and that shook me. And it's so creepy.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna leave a link to that video that you sent us, Lucas.
Yeah.
About where all the ghosts were. The one that got me the most is when they're like literally sitting in daylight and we didn't see them. Like the plague doctor was in the fireplace.
He's literally there. Yeah.
I was
in
like,
the fireplace?
What? He was in the fireplace in the kitchen. He was sitting there staring at them.
Oh yeah.
The scene that you're talking about in the kitchen with the child, that messed me up because I was like, it's there, it's staring, it needs to stop. This
is a big no-no.
Yeah, I was gonna say the plague doctor and the child as well. That just, it's a big no-no. I don't like. I mean, children as ghosts are scary in and of themselves, just in the implications of that they were a child when they died, that there's the sadness there, and just that there's just this small figure that's waiting creepily around, but also, and that when we first spotted the child, it was like down that hallway just staring. And it also has a doll mask. Just everything about it was an unpleasant experience. That was probably one of my most favorite parts of that experience. Watching it with you guys was finding the ghosts. and kind of like,
Yeah.
did you see that?
That was
Rewind,
really great.
rewind. Did you see
It's
that?
fun.
Pause it right here, this frame. Like that was
Next goal,
that was
frame by frame.
That was really
frame by frame, looking for ghosts.
Like that
in our
that
dark
whole,
rooms.
Yeah, like that whole thing was enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing,
that was something else I should have brought up, is that we were sitting in our dark rooms watching this together.
It was a magical experience.
This brings me to my biggest topic of discussion. I wanted to get through some of the smaller ones first, so we can get into I think what's going to be the biggest topic is comparing this version of the Haunting series. So comparing Bly Manor with Hill House. Mm-hmm. What's your overall feedback? And I can kick this off because I've brought it up so many times already, and that is for me the pacing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The pacing of it, I think, is way better. Mm-hmm. I think that they both focus on the stories of the individual characters really well, except for, personally, I believe Hill House dragged it on a little too much. Mm-hmm. And, and I know it's not really a ghost story, it's a story of people, but with ghosts in it, But personally, for me, when somebody tells me this is a haunting, this is supposed to be scary, I'm expecting the scares to happen in the first episode. And yes, there were some scares in the first episode of Hill House, but honestly, not as much as there were in Bly Manor. Mm-hmm. Bly Manor,
True,
caught my attention immediately, personally. Hill House, I had some struggles with. It did keep my attention, and I do like Hill House. It's just, of the two series, I think just purely based on pacing of the story, I have to go with Bly Manor as being my overall favorite of the two, Mm-hmm. So,
nice.
Thoughts, you guys?
Yeah, absolutely fair.
Ooh. Yeah, for me, I totally get what you're talking about with Hill House and how it's kind of dragged out. I didn't really know what to expect when watching it, so it was kind of more of reading a storybook and going at a slower pace. But then watching Bly Manor, it was okay, we are taking a deep dive and everything is going to be happening all in the first episode, so buckle up.
Yeah. We're going to give you everything that Hill House did, but we're going to throw you. We're not going to walk through the house. I'm literally going to hurl you through the house. It's
yeah. So that definitely caught my attention as well.
I told everybody that this specific question might stir up some controversy. I thought about this a lot after we finished Bly Manor. Before watching Dark, Hill House was what I thought was the best thing on Netflix, and I still think it is one of the best things on Netflix. I've thought about it a lot, and it's so difficult because there's so many things that I like about both of them, and there's so many things that I like about one more than the other, and vice versa. I think in the end, I came to the conclusion that I liked the ending of Bly Manor, and I liked how they wrapped up all of the stories in Bly Manor better, but I enjoyed the type of story, and I enjoyed the overall experience and how information was presented to me better in Hill House. And I think, and it was so tricky because you guys were talking about the pacing, which I thought the pacing was fantastic for Bly Manor, and it was faster than Hill House. But I think that the pacing of both of the series fit the story really well, and the pacing of both of them fit what the story needed. So it's hard for me to say which pacing I liked better, just because I thought that both of them really fit the series. I also loved the relationships and the characters in both of the seasons, and that was so hard to even remotely compare. I liked the complexities of the character relationships just a little bit more in Hill House, but I think in the end, comparing the two, it's kind of I probably would choose Hill House by like 1% or like 0.5%. It's so close that it's so hard. But I think, I think overall, story-wise, I got more out of Hill House, but it by a very slim margin. They are very close.
And nice. You bring it up, and now I have to talk about it because I'm the one who brought it up in our Hill House episode. Go check that episode out. Where I said I didn't like the ending of Hill House because for me it ended too happy, and now I understand why I didn't like it more when comparing it to Bly Manor. So the ending of Bly Manor is essentially so bittersweet. It is so unhappy in the ending, which is, in my opinion, more predictable of horror films. The fact that the bittersweet part comes with the fact that they actually got to spend a lifetime together, but not a full lifetime together. And she ended up giving herself back to the lake. That was like the saddest thing in the entire world. And then you come back to the sweet part where it's like the Flora and Miles are still alive, and so is pretty much everybody from the house, and Flora's getting married. And then the sad part also comes again when she doesn't remember any of them,
Right.
Like another javelin heart.
Right, another one, like, the worst. And the reason I like that more is because I feel like Hill House made the ending too happy. If that makes any sense. So yes, there's that heartbreaking moment where they lost not only their youngest sister, but their father and their mother to the house, which is like the sad part. But then like there's the other bittersweet part where it was just like the groundskeeper and his wife died, and they got to live on the house with their dead children, for the rest of their existence as spirits, which for me was a little like, this is weird. Burn the thing down. And then the next part that I think really sealed the deal for why I didn't really like it is that the ending was that the rest of the siblings were all of a sudden seemed like okay with everything. Like a little too okay with the events that happened, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that's depicting that they're still tied to the house or that the house is attracting them. It kind of like took away from the power of the house, and I know what they're trying to do in saying that love and family is, but it's like the house is like this toxic entity that controlled them, which is what I loved about Bly Manor, because it stuck with a lot of what was actually depicted in the story, nothing deviated to create a happier ending, Danny still ended up getting possessed by Viola and being the last person that died at the house, so that's still like a very, very sad ending. And it's even sadder when they realize that the children that she gave her life up for don't even remember her at all. Right. It was just like, I think that ending is more plausible, because it still deals with the fact that those horrible events happened in the house, so I don't know. I think that's why I just didn't like the ending of Hill House and why I like the ending of Bly Manor, so.
Yeah.
I brought it up and I've explained it as best as I can.
Very
We're here now.
I completely see your point. I really liked the bittersweet quality of the Bly Manor ending, and I thought it wrapped up the storylines better than the Hill House storyline did as well. It felt right, and it felt like what the story needed. Yeah.
Tragic.
Yes.
Tragedy. Death. Ghosts.
Exactly what we need.
You guys remember when we were trying to figure out who her love interest was going to be? We literally pointed at everybody and was like, you're going to be her love interest. No, you are.
Ship
no,
it.
you are.
Kiss.
Yeah, we were shipping everything. Literally, like every episode when
Amazon
two adults were left alone together.
Yeah. They
Amazon
all
Prime
had
that
such
ship.
good chemistry. Like, all of them. Every scene that every actor was in with each other, there was just this chemistry that was so great where
so
you were
much.
like, are they?
Oh, yeah.
It was so immaculate.
They're gonna kiss, right?
Yeah.
No, I am fine with this.
They don't kiss.
There's a dog.
Fine.
The lake is in the house. What do we do? I don't know, maybe we should kiss? What?
Kiss her.
I mean, maybe we should. Never mind. Let's get. The.
So I guess this brings up the question then: will you guys be expecting another season of the anthology of The Haunting of? And what would you like to see haunted next?
Yes.
Because for me, I would like to see another haunting one, which is a deviation from the first time from Hill House. So, and I think something I would love to see them haunt next is like the haunting of, and then like an institution or something. You know, I would love to see something along those lines. And maybe if they make it Victorian as well, they could hang out in old-time medicine, you know, where you gave coke to anybody who was sick. You have a stomachache? Here, have some crack.
Right.
Here's some cocaine. It's just, I feel better. I need more. So, would you guys like to see another? Right? Would you guys like to see another season of the anthology? And is there any like particular place or type of people or time period you'd like to see haunted next? The general consensus
I haven't
is
thought about this
yes.
before. Oh,
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just don't know what I want to see haunted yet.
I like that they've been taking these older novels, like I think The Haunting of Hill House came out in the 1960s or 50s, and then The Turn of the Screw was like a Victorian novella. I really like that they've been taking these old stories and then expanding on them, bringing them to like a new time, and kind of making them full with what's there. It'd be interesting to see what they try to adapt next. But yes, I'm really looking forward to the next installment of this anthology series. I can't wait.
Yes, I definitely want to see another series, and I don't know why this came to mind. Of course, I like to see anything haunted in a show. But for some reason, it just came to mind, like, the haunting of, like, I don't know, like, an airline flight. Like, flight, I don't know, enter number here.
Right.
Like, the haunting of flight.
That would be interesting.
232 or something like that, you know? Where maybe they've been, like, stuck. Well, obviously, they're all stuck on a plane. And you don't know who's actually, like, not a ghost or if you're even alive, but you just keep flying. And then maybe some people jump out or something. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I think it might be interesting.
The haunting of the Bermuda Triangle, maybe? Who knows?
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not aliens. The Bermuda Triangle is just haunted, guys. At this point,
Right.
It is haunted.
Might be. Yeah.
So many people got abducted. The aliens left, and they left the
They all
behind,
dipped out
so.
for 2020.
Yeah.
They dipped out.
Kind of jealous.
They're like, let's give them a break.
But anyway, yeah. That is our series review of The Haunting of Bly Manor. Obviously, we all really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's great. We left quite a few, I think, big surprises in there, I think. You know,
Yeah.
there's still a lot of detail. Tell us how many ghosts you caught, because we tried to catch them all, and we failed epically.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There.
Keep doing that with the ghosts, though. That's so good.
It's so fun.
Hiding them in plain sight.
Honestly.
You're like, did you see that? Did you
Honestly,
fucking see that?
Did you see that?
Go back.
And with the end of The Haunting of Bly Manor comes the end of our spoopy week. Our spoopy month.
Tragic.
Our spoopy month of October.
It's
gone.
So.
Forever.
No.
Thank you guys. I want to give a big thank you to all of our listeners out there who have actually made October one of our best months to date.
Yeah.
We're glad that you liked all of our episodes. We're glad that you're watching and listening to it. And we hope that November and December and the rest of this year is just as good as this month is. So
yeah.
thank you guys so much for listening to our Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
you guys so much.
Yes.
You guys literally, we had no intention of actually gaining. We had no. I don't know if we actually believed that we would get an audience from this. It was just kind of a pastime for us to enjoy. So we're glad that we have you guys. Yeah, we do enjoy it. So we're glad that you guys are enjoying it along with us. So let us know down in the comments what you think of The Haunting of Bly Manor. Let us know your favorite ghost, your favorite character, your favorite episode, your favorite moment. Do you prefer Hill House to Bly Manor or Bly Manor to Hill House? Just let us know. Right in the comments. No!
What?
We respond to pretty much every single comment that you guys leave, so please do.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this has been the Viewers Club. This has been our October special month of horror. Thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Megan.
My name is Lucas.
And this is Tess.
And you guys have a good.
Have a good.
Bye!
Goodbye.
Bye!
We lay my love and I.
No, stop.
Stop.
Stop it.
We're haunted.